Hey everyone, today we interview Dr. Painter, a pediatrician at Novant Health, Forsyth Pediatrics. He was so gracious to take time out of his busy schedule to allow us to ask him questions about his experience as a physician and his personal journey to becoming a medical doctor. The staff at Novant Health were great. We deeply appreciate them, and we deeply appreciate both Dr. Painter and Miss Teresa Cummings for making this interview possible. So, to our video.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
Yeah, certainly. Certainly.
Okay, so my first question is, what is it like being a doctor?
Well, I can only speak for being a pediatrician, which is a doctor to young kids, so from babies to the end of college. And it is challenging and rewarding, and obviously, I don't think I would do it if I didn't think it was beneficial. So, but my role in terms of that, sometimes it's medical, meaning I'm intervening with medicines or vaccinations. Sometimes it's actually helping parents, know that number one, everything might be normal, even though they're feeling pretty frazzled. And that can seem like only an infant question. Sometimes it's actually teenagers and even college decisions. So it's kind of the gamut, but across the board of helping kids and their families and their health, and getting them to think positively about their health, and to consider that for what I'm essentially taking a role in is helping them achieve a long and healthy life as they move ahead in life. So, not anything surgical typically, but so there are other obviously areas of medicine that would be completely different than what I see every day.
Cool. When did you decide you wanted to be a doctor?
Let's see. Going into my last year of college, I actually decided that it could be an option. I had thought about it before then, but it took me a little while to figure out the rigor and working hard in school and studying and kind of having a goal that you were trying to achieve. So that occurred then, heading into my last semester of college.
And why did you want to be a doctor?
I think the easy answer is probably helping. The other part of that is I really enjoy the science. I really enjoy how we work. I'm in awe of that every day, and how miraculous the body is. So that was intriguing, in addition to thinking that there might be a method for helping people help their health, parents and children included. So I think most of it is an interest and desire to always learn, and I think you should try and do that no matter what you do, whether it's medicine or not. I think a lot of it is just an awe of how well we are made and how we work. Desire to learn more about that.
And so my next question is, why didn't you pursue some other career?
I don't know the answer to that really. In terms of pursuing something different, I didn't really think about pursuing anything different because I didn't really have a plan for pursuing my other area of study. I was in economics and banking in college, so I think I could have done that. I enjoyed sales. I enjoy relationships, so I think anything, I think that anyone who enjoys relationships could be a physician. I could possibly have done any of those things as well. I'm personally glad that I chose this particular
did you begin your journey into medicine?
Well, that was college, and then considering medical school. And in medical school, you haven't chosen what you're going to do in medicine. It's essentially similar to applying to college. I mean, you start out in college. You don't necessarily have to have a science degree. You do have to have some core requirements to enter medical school. And then once you're in medical school, you're still making choices about whether or not you're going to be in pediatrics or brain surgery or dermatology or any of those choices. So you don't have to have all that figured out right at the beginning. Sometimes it's helpful, maybe, but I don't think you have to figure all that out. But in a very typical way, like anyone who might choose any particular career, like how do you enter that journey? The first step is college and doing well in college, kind of figuring yourself out, in terms of how do I study, how do I learn, what things do I like to learn, what things don't seem very fun in learning, and then how do I learn them? Because sometimes you're not going to like everything that you have to learn, but you still have to learn it, so you got to figure out a way to go ahead and continue persevering in that too. So I'd say that's how I started and got into that journey.
What were some of the biggest challenges you had in medical school?
Medical school itself is a challenge mostly because of the amount of information that's present there. So it just feels like an overwhelming amount of information that you could never really learn all of it. And that is indeed true. I mean, we do find that to be, it's commonly like, I think the common description of medicine is that it's like medical school is that it's like drinking from a fire hydrant. So how do you do that? And so a lot of that is just figuring that out. So challenges in that go back to the challenges you're facing now in college, and that is how do I get through the things that aren't as interesting and still make myself sit down and learn them. So time management becomes a bigger issue because you're trying to learn so much more in medical school. But it's not undoable. So I would never tell anyone who wanted to truly go to not do it. Try it. Try and get into medical school and pursue that if that's something that you really want to do.
And how did you overcome some of the challenges you had while in medical school?
I think focus and not giving up, honestly. I mean, I think that's probably the biggest thing. You're always going to find challenges that seem insurmountable, and then just persevering and figuring out, like, if it meant extra studying or a little less sleep, then that's kind of how you did that. So I think that's probably the biggest answer, I'd say, is perseverance and not believing that you're not capable. So trusting that you were made miraculously and are capable of learning. Not everyone learns the same way, so don't be frustrated by that, but kind of push through and do that way.
How did being in medical school affect your relationships?
Well, obviously it's time. I was married and had a child when I started med school, and so time is something that you're balancing. But I don't think that's untrue with work either. When you finish college, if you don't go to medical school, you're going to have a job and you're going to have to balance relationships. So it is thinking about priorities and thinking about what's important to you and placing those in that order. And sometimes that makes a difference in what you might choose to do even in medical school. So an orthopedic surgeon is going to have busy summers, so you're thinking about that with the people you're in relationship with and thinking about your own personalities and trying to sort that out and figure out what might be best for you pursuing medicine in that way.
Okay. What advice would you give to anyone who wants to go into medicine?
To work hard at something that they like in undergraduate school. If you don't really like it, you're not going to excel for the right reasons, and it won't be something that you want to retain. So, one of my best friends in med school was an English major, so he's now running Wake County's emergency medical services. So you don't have to go through with a science degree. I'd say that's you do have to do something rigorous, you know. And most of all, I would say to do it. I would tell someone to do it. Before you really thought about doing that, though, I think you got to go and get involved in taking care of people, and either that's poor or children or the elderly. You've got to be involved in some kind of caring, volunteer caring, or an internship or something like that, really deciding that caring for people is something you want to do. And if you're sure about that, then definitely I'd say go on and